In the previous video, we showed you guys uninstalling the Evolution Sandblaster in favor of the Evolution Dynamite. You could see in these photos here that this is the before times that we ran with the Sandblaster kit. So in this video here, we're going to go ahead and go over the install for the Dynamite kit and the after times for the Dynamite kit.
Okay, so we went ahead and that one exhaust bolt, all the other bolts look good, but these have already been in a heated manifold and took out more than once, so I went ahead and just ran it through here.
Ran it through a tap, cleaned it up a little bit. It wasn't bad, it was just a little bit.
Yeah, no, it wasn't horrible, but this will clean it up, and it's a brand new exhaust manifold. That's the least we could do for it. But now I have to anti-seize it, so we're gonna go ahead and get this tightened up and done, but we just wanted to show you that we did the bolt and got it taken care of, and we'll be right back. Alright, so the turbo is in, the manifold is bolted to the head, everything is tightened down, good to go there. You know, we pointed out with the Sandblaster how it didn't have, it had the intake side had a real short neck and it only had a lip on it, it didn't really have ribs. Same thing for the charge tube side. I will say that the intake, you know, I heard things in the past where, you know, it was harder for the, or easier for the charge tube and intake tube to maybe come off if you didn't have it clamped good. The ribbed section on this new turbo will never be a problem again.
Yeah, it fit perfect.
It really had a problem. We had a problem with it once where each one of them came off when we first got the Sandblaster on the other machine.
Yeah, it just took a real good clamp. We had to pick and choose which clamp and
because the stock clamp that was on the machine was what was to be reused, and it was just too big and bulky to get down on the neck far enough and actually get a good bite. Now this is totally problem solved, and I think we're good to go there. So we got, let's see what we got. We got oil return line down at the bottom. We got to put a gasket on, bolt it up. It gets rid of the O-ring. It comes with a gasket. So we're going to do that. And then that big bracket I showed you that we had to cut, we're going to go ahead and get that bolted back up. We are running a time lapse, so you'll still see that, but we're trying to give you little pointers here and there.
exhaust has still got to go on here.
Exhaust still got to go on. Luckily, it's off now, so the easy part's going back on. It's just a couple springs, luckily for us, with the Trinity. Mine, on the other hand, will be a little bit more tricky because I still have the stock header pipe.
Yep.
And I just have a Trinity slip-on. But if I had to deal with not taking the exhaust housing off to get them bolts out, I think I'd rather just have the pipe I got. I mean,
yeah.
Because you fought it when you first did it,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
You know, and
Now that it's done, it's no big deal. But
yeah, now it's pretty simple. But you will fight them bolts unless your machine is, you know, rather new.
yeah, my machine had a couple 100 miles on it, and those bolts were a bear to get out of there.
Right. So if you do it within the first, you know, 150 miles, I probably don't think you have too many problems. But after that, it might be kind of hard. But we're going to go ahead and get that oil line on, the return line on, start getting the heat shields back on. There is one heat shield that's got to go on before that bracket's got to go on. It's on the bottom. It looks like this turbo setup will still accept all your stock heat shields, which is good because Alright, so we got the big main bracket on the back that supports the turbo. We got the return line bolted up, tightened down real good. Make sure your gasket or your O-rings in there. And then you got your lower exhaust shield. It's got 3 10mm bolts, one on each side, one in the front. I pointed that out earlier. Now we're at the point where the bracket's on. After the bracket goes the feed line for the oil. But before you can put the feed line on, you need to get a syringe and get some oil and fill the feed line of the turbo, just so that basically the turbo gets some oil before you fire her up, you know. But this is the banjo bolt that holds the oil line on, and I basically put it back on here just to keep dirt out of it. Technically dirt could still get in it, but that's because the banjo
Just helps out.
Yeah.
And that's the shield right there that he's talking about.
So there's one washer, and the other washer is still sitting right there.
Yep.
You gotta have one on each side of your oil line. Now here we go with this oil.
Let's see if I can get an angle.
I mean,
It's just to make sure everything starts off with.
probably not gonna take much, but we'll let it bleed down a little bit. Whoop. That's a little much. You're burning that off. Alright,
And there's the bracket that we were talking about.
yep.
So it's got all those bolts. That's the one that we modified earlier.
Okay, so you got a reference boost. I think it's a boost reference line over here on this side of your turbo. Make sure that's on. Now that the bracket's on and you got the lower heat shield on, you can go ahead and get the wastegate line on. Get those back secured on there. After this oil line goes on, we can.
Probably start on shields.
No, we should probably go ahead and put the exhaust back on and then the shields.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, this thing's pretty much buttoned back up. I guess the hardest part from here on out is getting this top shield in. The top shield is the worst shield. It's got 2 bolts and 2 pins, and it's a pain.
Yeah, it's just really hard to.
There ain't a lot of room.
Yeah.
Ain't a lot of room, but we'll get it back in there. We got it in and out of there 4 times, I think, now, so.
We'll figure it out.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna keep running this time lapse. Alright, so as we're getting this together, everything's about buttoned up. So we're going to start in on the computer programming. So we got this this rolling. This generally takes, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, something like that. So we're going to go ahead and get this going and get this thing fired up tonight. Alright, looks like the computer updating is good to go. So we're going to go ahead and finish up this exhaust back here and maybe get it fired up. Alright, Tim, let's hit it.
Alright, well, we double checked everything. Make sure all your charge tube, your intake, your oil feed, your return, make sure all that beep.
Alright, Tim, moment of truth.
Alright, so we double checked everything. You might as well double check your charge tube, your intake, your return oil line, your oil feed line. Go through all your, make sure you got all your bolts. There should be no bolts left over. We have no bolts left over. It was awesome. So, this has not been started. This is it right here. There's first key on. He programmed it like 10 minutes ago. So, it's in park. Let's try this out.
Got the E85 light.
Check for some leaks.
Yeah. As you started good, it's relatively cold out here, so. We're going to check everything out here. We'll let you guys know if we figure anything out. Yeah. Man, that's a hot flame. Alright, so this is neutral. I'll put it in high. Here, actually, let me go. Peak there was 8.1. I'll put it in high. Actually got a little bit higher on that one. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and make our rips. So we did the sandblaster rips out here earlier. We're going to go ahead and make our rips with the new turbo setup on there. Another thing too, when the sandblaster was out here, it seems like we are just hitting off the rev limiter the whole way down, well, at least right here out of the hole. This thing is tuned for bigger tires, sand paddle, stuff like that, so I'm not going to really get into adjusting the clutch for somewhere where we don't always rip. So it seems to be hitting the limiter though. So we're going to go ahead and make these rips down here with the new turbo setup, and we're going to see how that goes. So I figured I'd just give you guys a heads up. That's why it's coming out of the hole and it's hitting the rev limiter right out of the hole. So, all right, we'll show you guys what's going on.
He's kind of mad we're over here in his field. They're all coming to watch now. Got our audience back there. Got our audience.
I'm not building it up on the brake at all. I'm just going out and I'm just straight stabbing the gas. So that way everything is consistent. Everything is the same, you know? Because sometimes if you go to two-step it or two-brake it or whatever, if you go up a little bit higher, so I just wanted to come out, put it in high, make sure that, you know, take the slack out of it, and then just nail it. So, yeah, it's run better every pass that I made out here. So that was the best one yet with the new turbo setup on there. So
Nice.
all right, guys. So we did our before and after rips. We used the same line every single time that we came out here, but unfortunately, the last couple of runs were invalid. So I ran twice. The first one was valid. The next one was invalid. So I ran a third time in the same line again, and it also said invalid. So, but like I said, you can see the path we've cut right here. The only thing I could think of is maybe where it's hitting 60 miles an hour might be a little bit different. You know, so maybe that's why it's showing invalid. But everything's been done in the exact same run.
Because down about right there is a dip. And I think that's might be where it's validating. It might be giving us a problem. But this line over here looks pretty good.
Yeah,
so
we chose all the way to the left just to give us a little bit more run.
yeah, the left side is the longest, and we didn't know if that would bother us or not. But
so if you guys can, go ahead and subscribe, share this with your friends, stuff like that. So we'll have some more content for you coming soon. Actually, today we're going to be shooting the next part of this video, which is going to be pinging off the two-step. So
that should be very interesting.
You guys will see that coming up for the next video. So we're going to start shooting that here next, and then you guys will see that here shortly. Thanks.
So you guys can see in this image here, Dynamite Run 1 ended up getting erased. So, but you could see Dynamite Run 2 and Dynamite Run 3. And you could see from the Sandblaster runs that it picked up probably 2 to 3 tenths. So, I mean, you could tell a big difference in the machine. You know, you can tell, I would say probably mid-range. And I think that's why it's coming out and it's hitting the limiter so hard out of the hole. I mean, it's on those small tires too, so don't get me wrong. But it's just coming out of the hole so viciously. So in the next video, we're going to go ahead and do the two-step. We'll show you guys that. So we also get a pretty substantial gain from that as well. So you guys are going to want to stick around for that. So, all right, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.
I'm glad I covered my face for that one.